Ignite, sparked by BBB, where conversations are taking place to change the future.
All right. So can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. We have a few new faces in here as well, so I'll do a rundown of the rules real quick and one more time. Everyone is going to have 60 seconds to respond to the 5 questions. I'm going to do them super fast, so you'll see Olga walk around with the mic. She's going to go around if you want to stop her and answer the question. 60 seconds, and then you're going to hear this lovely song. Oh.
It's a catchy little song.
It is a catchy little song. It's much better than the buzzer. At least I enjoy it. Am I in the way?
60 seconds ticking fast.
Very nice. Very nice song. Much better than a buzzard letting you know it's time to wake up. And Olga will probably very slowly take the mic from you, not to be rude, but just to make sure that we get through all the questions, all right? So starting off, our second session is around literacy as a lifeline, so empowering communities through reading and education. And we have Josie Voorhies, did I say that right? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. From the READ program here for that. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to do the conversation, then I'm going to give the mic to Josie. Am I in your way? Okay. How does literacy serve as a foundation for economic mobility, and what are the long-term consequences for individuals and communities when access to education is limited? It's a loaded question.
I guess, just jumping in here, the way that I look at it is as an investment. Literacy is an investment in the future of your community. Whether or not those people stay in your community or not. So I always, as an educator, try to always teach kids how to think, not what to think. And I think encouraging that and being open-minded to whatever it is people want to read about and invest in that, just getting people excited about learning, but also weaving in a little bit of exposure to new things every time without hitting the kids over the head or hitting adults over the head. And taking the time to explain things as opposed to making people feel inferior in terms of education, because there's different types of education and learners.
I came from a background of technology, so having resources to have the internet back in the day, and this for Dinwiddie County especially, they just started getting the internet. So for Dinwiddie County being, 45, 50 minutes away from here, it's still kind of a resource that they're lacking. Good thing Starlink has came in and they're starting to be able to project the internet out a lot better. But, fibers, we learned that not everybody's connected during COVID. So the resources just from the internet alone is huge. From an educational, health, all kinds of aspects of it. Our businesses are based on the internet. Not to have it, my customers don't come to me. They don't know how to find me. So I don't do the traditional advertising, that's why. Yeah.
You want to talk? I knew it.
But unlike certain people, oh, he's not here. I was gonna say I didn't make the timer go off. Anyway, learning civics, how government works. People need to know who their advocates are, who to reach out to help them. There's certain areas that people never take advantage of, and help is available. Every year I see the city, the state, the feds throw on these shows, help is available, and there's nobody at the tables. And it's so sad because there's so many groups that could take advantage of it that don't. So Civics 101 is gone in the schools, bring it back.
Yeah.
If people aren't educated in how to spend their money correctly, it's not going to benefit in their community. Most people, especially in lower income, are taught that you need to make money to pay bills instead of having your dollar make a dollar. That's one of the lessons that I had to learn, and I learned it later on in life. And I'm teaching that to my children. But you have to learn how to correctly know what to do with your money when you get it.
I've always wondered how you bring the messages to more people also, including events like this. Just how do you get more people to know about it? I mean, a lot of us may know each other, but the people that really need it, probably a lot more, are not available. You know, I think a lot has to do with literacy. It has something to do with language. And if I spit verbs and things like that, you have people on the radio, you hear them, and it just bothers with you inside. So if you have some literacy and you start speaking clear, it touches a person's paradigm, their beliefs. They believe something about you when they see you and they hear you talk. And the more literacy you have, I think that you can overcome that consequence. Sorry.
We were kind of talking about that this morning as a team. We were talking about emotional intelligence. What people don't realize is that it does have a lot to do with literacy, having that emotional intelligence. I was lucky enough that I grew up in a household where we talked about everything. We learned to have conversations with each other. Mind you, I'm Greek, so half the time it was a lot of yelling, but most of the time it was having conversations with each other. And so learning to have that emotional intelligence is really important too, those words that connect with people.
In a country where the student loan debt is super high, being literate and being able to find those answers in books, I think can be very beneficial, because you don't have to pay the high price to go to university if you study on your own. Whatever it is you're passionate about, whatever it is you want to know more about. You mentioned the internet, books, whatever way you find, there's ways to find, even if you are in a community that doesn't have a lot of money, even if you can't maybe do a lot of things that you see your peers be able to do. Library has free books. You can get all of this information without putting the money you don't have into getting the education. You can be educated without a degree, and you can do whatever business or career or whatever you want to do. Okay, there's some that you can't. You can't be a lawyer if you don't go to school, or a doctor, whatever. But if you want to build your own business, you can. You don't have to pay for college. Sure.
In 2 states, you don't have to go to law school, Virginia and California.
Oh,
You can do entrepreneurship and take a bar.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
California, yeah.
So there have been studies, and I can't remember them, but there's a direct correlation between if a child grows up with books in their house
Yes.
as to how successful they are. And I've been grateful to work with a couple of nonprofits, like I Read to Them, Podium RVA, which concentrates on middle and high school students. And it makes such a difference. If you feel like something's a chore or miserable, if you treat reading like, oh, I have to read, or if you make it engaging and fun and interesting, what a difference you would approach everything within your life that you read.
Thank you. How can technology be leveraged to expand literacy access, especially for underserved communities that may lack traditional educational resources?
Go back to the previous question real quick.
Barry wants to go back to the previous question.
Does this time start over again? Sorry.
One minute.
You get a chance to make.
Give the answer. I'm good.
So how does Literally serve as a foundation for economic mobility, and what are the long-term consequences for individuals and communities when access to education is limited?
Okay, I just wanted to say that it's so important to have proper English instruction or language instruction at a young age. Companies, big corporations, the newspaper here in Richmond, I mean, I was a journalism major, so I probably noticed this more than most, but like their grammar, subject verb agreement, like if you are someone who is getting your way of speaking, for example, from these kinds of things, like every time I make a mobile deposit with Wells Fargo, I get a little text thing that says, "We've got your deposit." you know, I mean, that doesn't bother some people, but it's just, we have your deposit. Not we have got your deposit. And I think AOL started that with, you've got mail. It's like, you have mail. You have got mail. So I guess what I'm saying is it's so important for people to be individually educated, because if you follow what's trickled up into the highest corporations and how they communicate, it's so dumbed down and a lot of times incorrect.
So I grew up, I'm the oldest of 3, and my mom always thought something was off with me because I had hated playing with dolls, like they freaked me out, but my sister was more normal, she played with dolls. I love books. I love being surrounded by books. I used to read books without actually being able to read the words. I would make up my own stories and pretend like I was reading to a class. But I loved books that much, and I have to agree, there are conversations that I have with my 23-year-old brother, and he says, bet, or that's gas, and I'm like, English. You have 2 options, Greek or English. Those are the only 2. I don't understand anything else. Okay, so what are the biggest barriers preventing people from improving their literacy skills, and how can businesses and community leaders help bridge these gaps? Okay. You can start here and then work your way down.
I think it's mentorship is a big deal here. And the reason I would say that is when you look to somebody who is older, wiser, more experienced, and they will kind of guide you on what's appropriate, and here's an opportunity to learn. And I also think that approaching things in a mentorship way is less intimidating. And you could kind of pick and choose who you connect with and who you can tell feels comfortable with you guiding them. But like the same way I try to mentor, I also look and seek out mentors because there's always something to learn from somebody else. And that's how I think improving literacy skills and helping people understand, hey, I notice, and I tell kids all the time, I code switch. I was born in the Bronx. I can talk Bronx or English, or I can talk more educated English or what have you. I made it.
That's a record, yeah.
I like to say meet people where they're at, and I'm thinking of, there's so many great skills that we can get from books, but how do we make it accessible in our crazy lives? I love audiobooks. Sometimes people will say, I listen to it as an audiobook. Does that count? Heck yeah, that counts. A book is a book. And if you're listening to books, that makes it more accessible for more books, more concepts.
There's also an app, I have it, they will read it for me, and even give me a summary. And then if I don't listen, it will tell me, you haven't listened to it.
I think one of the biggest barriers is people stop reading. I mean, I know all these people that graduate from college and they haven't read a book since they graduated from college. I mean, how many books do you read a year? I mean, I think people really need to focus on that and maybe make, like businesses have like a miniature library available for their employees to borrow books, and just encourage people to be lifelong learners.
Well, then what you think? I think one of the biggest barriers is people get comfortable in their illiteracy. They get comfortable in their situation, and they stop caring about what they want to do and what they want to achieve in life because they think that it's unachievable. So I think one of the biggest things that community leaders can do is be that voice of encouragement. Say, okay, look at your situation, you can do better. And kind of like be hard in it, you gotta be direct in what you're trying to say to the people. Look at your situation, you can do better. Okay.
was also a comment on mentorship, and I like the comfortability and literacy. I just think it's, be together, be in different environments. Don't be in the same environment all the time. Be with different people. You hear them talk, you'll want to communicate with them. I think it initiates some type of urge in you to want to do better. And what can businesses do, like the little things that they do when they come to school, or you see the people on 60 Minutes, the band that performed the other day, they couldn't perform. You hear people talking, you want to be that, and your kid will have an internal clock, something that goes off and says, I want to do that, and then they'll start listening to better things like that. And parents reading to kids when they're little is very powerful.
I'm gonna move on to the next question, sorry. All right,
Got 30 seconds.
Give 15, give 20 seconds.
you can have the full 60 seconds, that's okay.
I yield my 30 to him.
So I go back to, the business side of it, and I think I had the great fortune in 2016 to work with a bunch of young men and women, and what I had to teach them was dismiss their ego to be open to learning. And, without that, you could have a conversation, but they never heard it because they were so focused on their ego. And once we could pull that away from them a little bit, then they were open to learning and their eyes opened up. And that's when they excel. And I think that's the other piece of it, because let's face it, there's a lot of egos in this room. The question is, do you present your ego or do you keep it to yourself and help others around you? I'm under 60.
I love it, thank you. All right, next question, please.
do it.
No. Go to the next one, let me see what the next one is. Let's go to the previous one. Okay, how can technology be leveraged to expand literacy access, especially for underserved communities that may lack traditional educational resources? It's a good thing, but it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when they used to let us use calculators, or when they used to not let us use calculators. Yes. I kind of miss those days because now I can't do simple math, like addition. And I used to count at my dad's register in his restaurant, and like that was easy, and now it's not.
It all depends on how you use it.
Yes, yes.
Thanks. So mine is not necessarily technology in the way we think of it. So two parts. I use audiobooks, so I'm the audiobook person. Audible is my friend. I drive a lot, so I listen a lot. I've gone through 10 books already, so I'm excited. But anyway, I'm also originally from Ghana. And one of the things I started doing is partnering with schools and collecting books and shipping them to Ghana. The way I leverage technology is we take pictures of when the books get there, and we take videos of how excited they are. And then I send it back to the schools. I'm like, yes, look, they really like it, send more, So for me, technology in that sense is just using, videos, pictures to show what the books are doing and the impact it's making in these communities, and then getting the books, shipped to them and getting more people to sponsor that. So
That's actually a really good example of technology because a lot of things rely on social media nowadays. So having that visual aspect is important.
Okay, now I mean it. Well, please, favors everyone. When I say ChatGPT, I mean it because I really use it that way. Because I'm a medical interpreter, so I'm like the bridge between two languages. So I want to make sure that my message is sent the proper way. So I'm always trying to learn, right? There's so many words I don't know in Spanish. There's so many words I don't know in English, and there's so many words I don't know in none of them. So there was this one time I was using ChatGPT, and I basically said for all the conversations that we're having, every time you see a grammatical issue or something that is not being said properly, let me know and just tell me how to say it properly. And it was both a blessing and a curse at the same time. Because at the beginning it was like, oh, you forgot to add a comma, oh, you forgot the apostrophe. I was getting started. Well, long story short, it helped me a lot because it was helping me to find better ways to say it, to just like send the message in the best way possible with best details, just changing the words for more formal definitions, and it really helped me a lot. That's my example.
All right, next question. Oh, there's no one.
One more. I think it's really important for any community, like for adults and for kids. Like when you hear words that you don't know, like it's so easy in the 24-hour news cycle to gloss over it because something else is coming back, you don't really understand it. Like the other day, I was reading something about the national debt, and I was like, what is the national debt? So like I Googled it, and it explained it to me like in maybe 10 sentences. I knew what it was, but I didn't know how it kind of gets there. So I think like for kids especially, and any community, like maybe just, challenge kids like, hey, bring me 5 words that you heard today that you didn't know the meaning of and you Googled it. Just starting to really go a little deeper into things instead of just like glossing them over because you'll get another piece of news like in the next minute. So I just think it's important to understand the words that we're using because a lot of people use a lot of words incorrectly or they have no idea what they mean.
My mom used to get so mad when I would use big words with her. I was the reader of the 3 of us. And she would say, do you even know what that means, Evie? And I was like, yes, I do. And I'd give her the definition, and she was like, you're a smart aleck. But it was fun. Using those words is important every single day. It's better to, you said being comfortable in your competency. It's important to expand that and not feel belittled because you don't know something.
Sure. I just want to add, it's off.
You think the battery went up?
Yes.
Yeah, no battery.
Use your voice with me, the loud one.
Got 2 voices? That was the only one.
Barry. I just want to add, piggyback on that one. When she said that she had to check on Google, it's like every time I feel good about it because English is not my first language. And for somebody to say that, when I hear a lot of people saying that they have to check the definition, I'm just like, I feel good because, if I go to Google a lot and I go to dictionary to check, to understand, because if I read something and then I don't understand, then that's a waste. So I make sure that I know the right definition. So that's it.
So Anna, I'm not going to read the last question because we want to go ahead and get Josie up here soon.
Just a quick comment. You're talking about technology in communities where they don't have a lot of access to going to university or all that. But most people, about 90% of people, have what is called a smartphone today. So if they use that and if they get the right apps, I think that can help. So in schools or at home or in the family, right, the parents teach the kids that, hey, get this app. Okay, yes, you have games, you have all that, but get this also.
I'm going to make a comment, then we're going to have Josie come on up here, but technology is important because we need to be teaching, especially kids and teenagers nowadays, how to use the technology they have access to. I have a 15-year-old cousin, she's turning actually 16 next month. Oh God. And she's a Snapchat girly, and all the time it's always Snapchat, and it's always this conversation. I try to explain to my aunt, I'm like, you don't understand the power that she has in her hand every single day and how misused it is. And there needs to be more education for children, for teenagers, and even college students on how to use this technology.
My next talk. Oh, yeah. No, it's my next talk. I'll do it.
Your next. Okay, in that case, I'm going to have Josie come on up. She has a little slideshow for you guys. You guys can see her kids and all the different, adults, her students. and they're gonna, she's gonna talk about the READ program.
Yeah, you can use this one. I think it will just play.
We'll see if it just plays. Here it goes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Josie Voorhies. I'm the Education Program Manager at the Read Center, soon to be Read RVA. We are doing a rebrand and that will be launched this year. So don't be confused if you see a new name, it's us. It was very hard for me to stay quiet during that last Q&A. Maybe I wasn't supposed to stay quiet, I don't know. But I just want to quick go through the questions because I think they're really important and you guys hit on some really great topics. What is impacted by literacy, low access to education? Every single thing. I think I may have turned it off. Every single thing you do. Every single thing we do is impacted by low literacy. That's the answer. The other question was what barriers are existing and how can we as community members help mitigate those barriers? What I didn't hear was transportation, access, childcare, availability after my work hours. And the biggest one that I really want you guys to hear is stigma. People with low literacy don't want to have low literacy. They want to be active members, confident members of our community. So reducing stigma and helping navigate those barriers is how we as individuals and community members can help. And technology, and this is not even in my speech, I'm just going off script. Technology is awesome. And for the man, I'm sorry he's not here, but ChatGPT scares me a little bit. It can be fantastic. But I've heard so many stories of kids who are graduating high school and they can't write a paragraph because all they've been doing is putting it into ChatGPT. That's concerning to me. And technology is fantastic, but if you cannot read, you probably cannot use the technology. So it's really important that technology goes hand in hand with instruction. Okay. All right, so off script, back on script. I wish I was such a great speaker as the woman before me, but I do have notes, so please bear with me. So the Read Center is a community-based nonprofit. It's been around for about 40 years. It was formed by the Altrusa organization, which was a women's service organization. In 1984, it became a 501c3. And I've been with the Read Center for 2 years. And as I mentioned, I'm the Education Program Manager. My job is to develop, implement, and support literacy programs throughout the Metro Richmond area. We have a very small but mighty team. We have 10 paid part-time teachers. We have over 150 volunteer literacy tutors that support. Last year, we had over 200 students. This year, we're on track to have over 250. And we're throughout the Metro Richmond area. We're based in Willow Lawn. Okay, so before we really jump in, reflect back. I know we're at Tuesday, but imagine what you did in the last 48 hours. What did you do, and just shout it out, this weekend, the last 48 hours where you interacted with text? Anybody? Shout it out. Bills? I paid bills, it was the 15th. Yep, what else? Sent emails, checked emails. Met with clients, got groceries. What's a BOGO? If you don't know what BOGO is, right? Good. Did you go to church? Maybe you read scripture. Did you cook a new recipe? I did. I tried something new for my family. All of these things require interaction with text. And you and I take it for granted. It's like riding a bike. We don't even think about it. What I want you to understand is for our students, reading is not curling up on my couch with my blanket, with my favorite drink, with my favorite book. That's what I think of reading. It's cozy, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's kind of luxurious, right? I should be probably cleaning, but instead I'm gonna read that novel that I can't wait to crack. For our students, that's not the case. Reading is work. It is hard work, it's exhausting, they are struggling to make it happen. So just switching our mindset a little bit about what reading is to someone with low literacy is really critical to put yourself in their shoes, because they're not our shoes. Okay, let's talk about the challenge. In the United States, we have over 48 million adults who are reading below a third grade equivalency. 48 million. In the Metro Richmond area, we can extrapolate those numbers, and people far smarter than I have figured out that that equates to about 100,000 adults in Metro Richmond reading below a third grade equivalency. Now, I hear quite a bit about children's literacy, and it's critical, obviously. Children become adults. We should be working in the schools. We should be providing remediation for those children. We have to, it's critical. But I would like to challenge everyone here today to think about the role of the adult and how we can support the adult. A child who lives in a home with low literacy will have more challenges. A child who brings home a note from school for their parent, inviting them to a parent-teacher conference, will not have a parent in attendance at that conference if they cannot read the note. Children whose parents have low literacy levels have a 72% chance at being at the lowest reading levels themselves, higher percentage of dropping out and repeating. So literacy cannot just be addressed for children. It just simply cannot. This is a family issue. The US Department of Health and Human Services did a study. This was back in 2010, so I know it's a little bit old, but I think it's still quite relevant. They found that a mother's reading level is the greatest determinant of the child's future academic success. The mother's reading level, far outweighing neighborhood or income. It's all about the parents. And we know that, right? Anecdotally, we know that. We heard when we were talking about this, that you should live in a home where reading is approached and accessible and exciting and books on the shelves, right? I wanted to share a quick story with you. I met a young woman. She came to the Read Center last summer, and she was a great young woman. She worked in a restaurant, and she wanted to get a better job. So she could read. She was reading at about a third grade equivalency, so she can read a little bit. But she recognized that to get ahead, to be in a managerial role, she needed to increase her skills. So she came, she worked, she enrolled, she's still there, she's doing awesome, she's making improvements. But the thing that I want you to hear is that she was 18 years old and had just graduated from a local high school. Our interest in literacy cannot stop because a child turns 18. These children become adults, they come to our communities. Okay, so now that we better understand the need, I want to talk about why an adult takes that step to raise their hand. Okay, we kind of touched on it in the intro questions, so thank you for those. The title of this event, Literacy as a Lifeline, really speaks to this question and to me personally. Our students, when they call, we do ask. I think you maybe mentioned that sometimes we didn't ask when our clients called, how they learned about us. One of the main reasons they call, and I kind of wrap it in a nice bow, is they want to do better with the business of life. The specific reasons that they tell me when they speak to me is they want to read their mail without having to ask a neighbor. Can you imagine opening your medical bill? And I mean, medical bills are hard, people. I sometimes have struggles with them too. And having to go knock on my next door neighbor's door to say, can you explain to me what this charge is? Can you explain to me if I was overbilled? To not understanding what I need to do. Is it past due? Is it due? Is it an invoice? Is it not? Is it a statement? Is it an EOB? What's an EOB, right? They want to read medical documentation from their medical providers. They want to read their prescription bottles. They want to communicate with their child's school. And one of the most interesting to me is they want to read their religious texts. People come to me and they say, I go to church, and people ask me to come to the groups, and I don't feel comfortable because I'm afraid they're gonna call on me, and I can't do it. And they wanna read to their kids and their grandkids. So, why do they finally come? They'll tell me also, I know I've needed to do this for a long time, and I finally have a time that I can carve out to make this happen. Life is demanding. I've been hustling, I've been paying my bills, I've been doing all the things, and now I have time to make this happen for myself. So at the Read Center, we support our adults through various programming. We offer classes for students who are reading between a 0 and a 3rd grade equivalency, and that is run by paid professional teachers. Teaching someone how to read is tricky. So we know that, we value that, and we pay our teachers to do that with the support of literacy tutors. We also have one-to-one tutors. These are for students who are reading between the 4th and the 8th grade equivalency. These folks already know how to read. They're not where they need to be, okay? They're looking for those higher level skills to get ahead in the workforce or for personal reasons. They meet with literacy tutors one-to-one out in the community, usually at an area library. We use a science of reading curriculum that is developed for people with and without dyslexia. So we're not diagnosticians. It doesn't matter to us if the person has dyslexia or not, they're going to receive the same curriculum. And science of reading is a real popular buzzy phrase that you hear everywhere on the news. And it's not just phonics, it's syntax, and it's morphology, the study of words, prefixes, suffixes, comprehension, fluency, it's all of that combined. We also offer special programs. We have a computer lab, we have extra tutoring opportunities for our students to participate, and we have a book club. We have partners. Chesterfield Library is one of our valued partners. We actually train their librarians as Read Center tutors, and if an individual that lives near a library is one of our students, they can actually meet with the librarian. The library pays their librarians for the 2 hours that they tutor each week. So it's a win-win for us. The student gets access in their own community with a trusted partner. We have programs at the Richmond City Justice Center where we provide tutoring there as well. We go to Caritas and work with some of their residents. We're partners with Read to Them and at Podium, we're there every month. So we're connected to the community, and we encourage you to get connected with us if you don't. If you're not already. We also have a small specialty program. It's called Read for Life. This is a literacy program for adults who are interested in increasing their literacy skills but don't live independently. All right, so I hope you've been enjoying the slideshow behind me. I hope you can see it. I should be moving more. How about I come over here? Sorry about that. I hope it's apparent to you that the Read Center is a community. This is critical to our success. You all talked about reviews and how critical your reviews are to your business. That's what we get. This is where we get our students. Mother will come, tell her cousin, tell her brother. Next thing you know, 3 of the family members are part of our program. We work very hard to make our programs approachable, welcoming, and stigma-free. As adults, can you imagine how challenging it would be to raise your hand and pick up that phone and acknowledge that I need help reading, something that everybody seems around me to be taking for granted? I think that there was a slide already that showed it was a group of hands in a circle. They were holding a book. And I wanted to highlight that slide because to me that really epitomizes what we're doing for adult literacy and specifically at the Read Center. We had a student who has been a student with us for several years, and she's doing awesome. She's made tremendous improvements. And in fact, we've hired her as a student assistant now. She's graduated from our program. She came to me and said, Josie, I really have always wanted to be in a book club. And my neighbors invited me, and I just don't feel comfortable. You're supposed to read this whole book ahead of time and then be ready to talk about anything and everything. And how in the world would I do that? I just don't feel comfortable. So we've talked it through and given her some strategies. And then next thing you know, she came to me and said, I want to do a book club at the Read Center. But I have one requirement, and that means that I want everyone to be able to participate. I just told you, we have students who are reading at a level 0. That is equivalent to kindergarten. She said, I want this man, who I know is reading at that level, to be sitting next to this person who is reading at a 6th grade level. I want it to be accessible to everyone. So we said, sure, sounds great, let's figure it out. And we have figured it out, and we have the Read Out Loud Book Club, which meets every week. The students read together, out loud. No one has to come having already read the book. They take turns. Tutors sit next to them. They offer support when and if the student needs support. It is all the feels. You will never feel better about yourself than to see people in community with each other, supporting, encouraging, and reading and enjoying that really important piece of humanity together. All right. So where do we go from here? I'm hoping that you as individuals and as community members will consider everything I said today and think about adult literacy, maybe in a way you've never really considered before. The first thing I'd like you to think about is advocacy and connection. Who do you know that you can tell about adult literacy? I cannot express how many times I meet a tutor and they'll say, what? I had no idea. I mean, people can't read? I mean, what in the world? How'd that happen, right? We can talk a lot about how that happened. I'm not here to do that today necessarily. I'm happy to talk to you about it later. But share the important information that over 100,000 members of your community are not reading at the level they need to be successful. And think about this. The Virginia Literacy Act was passed in 2022. And we're optimistic about that piece of legislation to improve outcomes for children, but there is nothing in the legislation about adults, nothing. And as I stated earlier, and I hope that you believe now, failing to support the adults will lead to failure to support the children. So we really need to think about literacy as a whole family unit. The second way I'd like you to consider is volunteerism. I mentioned we have 150 volunteer literacy tutors. We run literacy training about 4 times a year. It's not all the time. I get emails from tutors saying, oh, I have to wait a month or 2 months. Yes, I'm sorry, we're very small. We also balance our needs with the needs of our students. We don't need to have tutors waiting in the wings. We want to make sure everyone's being fully utilized. If you're interested in volunteering, I would love to talk with you about it. What's the commitment? What's involved? What's the training? I am your main point of contact for that. If you would like to talk about it, I'd be happy to do that today. You can also send me an email. I brought my cards. And then the last way I'd like you to think about how to participate and contribute is financially. We are a nonprofit. We do not receive any federal money, which is kind of a good place to be right this moment. But all of our funding is through donations and grants. And so the only way that we can provide our classes are by recruiting and teaching people about what we do and getting people to recognize that this is a need in our community, and by opening up their pocketbooks and contributing. I feel very proud to say that none of our students have ever, nor will they ever, pay for classes or tutoring. Every one of our students participates for free for as long as they need. Okay, so that was a lot of talking. I want to turn it over to any questions that you might have. And thank you all for being a great audience.
Thank you.
So for younger people, let's say they're stigmatized or making it through the system, they're in high school and they can't read, are they able to come, or is this just for adults?
So right now, we serve individuals who are 18 and up. So we are connected through the high schools so that they know about us. So if a student is 18, turning 18, about to graduate, Trust me when I tell you that the schools know who these individuals are, and our hope is that that person will contact us through our connections, through our community. Our big challenge with that demographic is, reflect back, when you were 18 and you were graduating, what were you doing? Going to college and or working. The hustle is real and people need to pay their bills, and we become low on the priority list. We all know that if you would just push pause real quickly, figure this skill out and move on, the rest of your life is going to be a whole lot easier. But the reality is it's very, very challenging to acquire that demographic of student because of life.
And speaking of life, the question number 2, so individuals that made it through the system that, let's say, dyslexic or whatever challenge, are the teachers able to help people that have challenges learning get across that threshold too?
Yeah, sometimes. I'll be quite frank. Some of our students have, well, let me just step back. We all have learning differences, right? I might learn visually, you might learn auditorily. We all learn in different ways. Those are learning differences. That's not a big deal. We can address those. Then we have learning difficulties. Maybe I can't get to the space, or I don't know how to log into my computer, but once I learn that, I can overcome that challenge. And then we have learning disabilities. The curriculum we use is designed for dyslexia and text-based learning disabilities. Can every person who is dyslexic overcome that? I don't think so. Many can, and we can help with strategies to help improve their abilities. Might they be able to read a full novel in a year? Probably not. The deficit is great, and it is very challenging for someone with dyslexia to overcome. It definitely can be done, but there is no magic wand that I can say, yes, everyone who has that can be reading very quickly. Yes?
You help people read cursive. You'd be amazed how many people cannot read cursive.
I'm not amazed. I'm shocked, but I'm not amazed. Yeah. So last year, actually, one of our classes had a personal goal to learn how to write their name in cursive because the students did not know how to write their name. Think about signing a document, right? I know a lot of us kind of scribble our names, myself included, but to be able to read and understand cursive is a skill that is not taught in a lot of schools anymore. So if the individual wants to learn that, we absolutely do that. One of the things I didn't highlight is we have very personalized curriculum. We have standard curriculum, and we always have time for personal goals. So if that person says, I really am struggling, I don't know how to read cursive, write cursive, my grandma sent me a letter and I don't know how to read it, we'll make that individual's goals.